Hello and welcome everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, SAP Datasphere and SAP Analytics Cloud Feature Update. My name is Cathrin and I would like to welcome you all on behalf of as peers. If there are any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to write them in the chat and we will have a Q&A session at the end to answer your questions. But before we start, let's have a quick look at our agenda for today. So my colleague Anil will give you a short introduction into who we are. Then he will do the Datasphere feature update. I will continue with the SAP Analytics Cloud feature update. And at the end, we have a Q&A session. So with this, I would like to hand over to you, Anil.
Yes, thank you, Cathrin, for the brief introduction. And let's continue with the topic, who we are and who is SPS. Yes, so SPS is a highly specialized consulting company in Switzerland with the expertise in analytics and data topics, with a focus on SAP Analytics and also hyperscalers like Google Cloud. And we are building for our customers highly analytical enterprise platforms, and we also take care of everything from requirement analysis, data integration, implementation, up to information access. And yes, we are also a SAP Gold partner and also certified in Google Cloud. And our consultants have over 50 verified certifications in total. And so Cathrin and I, we will present you today the feature update in SAP Datasphere and SAP Analytics Cloud. My name is Anil and I'm professional analytics consultant specialized in SAP Analytics backend topics like SAP S/4HANA Embedded Analytics, SAP Datasphere, or also HANA SQL Data Warehouse. And Cathrin is also a professional analytics consultant with a specialization in BI analytics topics like SAP Analytics Cloud Planning and also analytic applications. And yes, now we will continue with the Datasphere feature update and the live demo afterwards about the most important features. So we don't have all, but the most important one. So yes, in this session, I will show you also 4 important features about the Datasphere from start of this year. And we have also some major updates in transformation flow and data access controls. So at the end, you will understand these new functionalities and how you can use them in the system. So here's also our first feature. So the transformation flow can now use remote tables from BW Bridge as a source. And for this, the BW Bridge space needs to have the remote table shared with the space where you can build your transformation flow in, as you cannot build transformation flows in the BW Bridge space itself yet. So once you've shared your BW objects, you can use them inside of the transformation flow as a source entity. And this provides our customers, of course, a better integration with the BW Bridge and needs less redundant data storage and persistencies inside of the BW and Datasphere architecture. So here's the next update. The next year, so the transformation flow has now also learned the SQL and SQL script transformation. And the view builder in data layer was already capable of doing this before. And you can now create your view transformation as well, for example. in SQL script, and you can create them directly or by converting an existing graphical view transformation. So I will also show you this in the system in a few seconds. So this leads in total to business benefit of time saving and the better maintainability through SQL integration also for experts. So this one is the next update, and we are still in transformation flows. And here we have a new run mode for view persistencies and transformation flows available. So you can now switch between the performance optimized mode. That is what we are using as a standard execution. So it's the default. And so when we create transformation flow, and then we have a memory optimized mode. It's the new one. So by using the performance optimized mode, no intermediate results is stored on the disk. So you can ensure a quicker data access and data consumption. But this mode consumes memory resources, and if the data model is too complex, it can result in an out-of-memory exception, and your task will always fail in this case. And therefore, you can use the memory optimized mode. It's an enhancement of the SAP HANA execution engine, which stores intermediate results of the SQL statement on the disk and lowers the memory consumption in this case. So you can use the memory optimized mode when you get an out of memory exception, when running tasks with a huge data volume. And as a business impact, you have more control over your execution, and also you can easily change the mode for very complex data models to avoid out of memory exception errors. So yes, and now the last feature update. Now we are leaving the world of transformation flow, and here is the new feature update for data access authorization. This is about extending the data access controls with the support of complex Boolean operators and also their combinations. So you can create complex data access controls also with operators and value pairs for detailed role level security. And also you can use hierarchies for authorization. And with these features, of course, the administration effort for maintaining authorizations and managing hierarchy authorizations is reduced in a more efficient way than the months before. And yes, how does this look in how does these features look practically? We can now switch to our live demo, and I can show you the Datasphere functionalities. One moment, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen, Cathrin?
Yes.
Thank you. So this is our live demo about Datasphere, and I told you before that is a new feature that in transformation flow is now possible to consume remote tables from the BW Bridge as a source. And I'm currently logged in the Datasphere, and I'm in the data builder, which you can see here. And I'm in our BW Bridge space. So you can see the path here that I'm in the data builder, BW Bridge space. And we have already a connection to our BW system, and we want to consume BW object in this space. The objects are also already shared into the other spaces and are used there. And to show you the functionalities, we have already shared the BW object PD2 sales reporting here with our showroom space. And here you can see the little shared symbol next to the objects. So these are all shared. This one is not shared because it's a little test. And you can also see here the spaces. And that is changed to the showroom space, this one here. So now we are in showroom. And you can see now the BW object PD2 sales reporting. This one is shared here, and you see it's coming from BW Bridge space. And now I will create a new transformation flow. I can do this here by clicking on it. So we have shared or created BW objects in this space, and now we want to use it as a source and transformation flow. And I want to use the graphical view designer for that. I can click here. And then here on graphical view transform. This will create a graphical view transformation. And here you can see the BW Bridge remote table that I was not able to see before this feature update, and also see the little shared symbol. And if I drag it into the view transform, I can use it similarly to every local table we are currently have. And by also by selecting it, or for example, another idea, so I could also select between the active and delta records for this table. So you have the same possibilities as you would have for a delta enabled table if the remote table supports the delta part in Datasphere, of course. Yes, and here you can also see the connection and the linked remote table origin, so where it's come from, and also the columns. And so with this transformation flow, you could proceed with your tasks and requirements, and of course you can then continue with your data mapping up to the analytical model and to the analytics cloud in front end. Yes, so that's all for BW Bridge tables and transformation flows. And now we can talk about the next feature I've showed you before. So I told you before about the feature of SQL functionalities, which are now possible. And you can now create your view transformation in SQL by creating them directly or converting an existing graphical view transformation. So here we have already our transformation flow. I can go back. And now by clicking here, we have the chance to go into the SQL view builder, but you have to be careful because this is a non-convertible fact. So we cannot convert it back to the graphical view from the SQL builder. So when we are confirming here, there's no way back. And yes, the system is now translating the graphical view in SQL view with the right selects and also the right field name. And you could make changes now here and continue to work with SQL or SQL script tables, which you can choose here. And you have to, there's no need for the graphical table anymore here. And for completeness, I can go completely back, discard this one, and click here on a new transformation flow. And you have also the possibility to click here and go directly to the SQL view mode, so you don't have to add the graphical view. You can go directly to the SQL view transform here, programming. So now after creating our showroom transformation flow, we can this one, and we can jump to the next feature, the performance optimized mode and the memory optimized mode. So we can click here on the data integration monitor. Just wait a little. So we can do the click here on flows. And we have tested 2 runs before for or test transformation flow. So this is a new one. It's deployed. So this is just a test. So we have added this one before. We can here go into it in details. And the run mode is under settings. So we can run the transformation flow with the option in performance optimized or memory optimized mode. And I have done this before, and you can see the results of the runs here in the logs. So the first one is when we click here and on details. So this is the transformation flow and this run before. And when you click here on view details, you can see this one is running with hex disk. So this means this one is the memory optimized one. It consumes less memory. You can see here it's 8.9 megabyte memory consumption. And when we go to the second one and click here on details, you can see this one is use hex plan. It's the performance optimized run, so the default one. And you see here it's consumed 3 times more memory than the memory optimized run. And in my example, we can't analyze the memory usage here perfectly because this one is a not a complex data model with a huge data volume, but a quick case to show the new functionalities here. So we have now one feature left. I can show you that one. I go back to our space. Showroom bike sample. And then to data builder. So you can create a new data access control here on top. But for now, we are clicking on the previously created one. It's this one here. So what do we see here? Just wait some seconds. So here we are in the data access control right now. And for an analytical view with the name bike sample sales, we have created a set of data access controls over different operators and values in our showcase space. So we have in structure, here we have operator and value selected. And under criteria, you see more complex structure with different fields here, for example. And here you can restrict different columns with operator columns or different value columns. You can select first value, second value, and you can here restrict with different column structures and different fields. And you can also restrict with different hierarchies, which I am not showing here at the moment. And to sum it up here in the data access control, you can set and edit quite difficult data access for entities in your space. And the structure to restrict is also possible for hierarchies, but I'm not showing it here at the moment because it's right time consuming. And so yes, we are at the end of our SAP Datasphere live demo, and I can switch over to the slides again. One moment. So just wait some seconds. So here are our slides again, and I have also a, where is it here? I have also a short outlook for the planned functionalities this year and early 2025. So we have replication flow enhancement of the which can support Microsoft SQL Server, Google BigQuery, Kafka as a source. This will come early next year, I think. And we have also the possibility to import calculation views from HANA to support a hybrid mixed modeling scenario. And I think the most important functionality, in my opinion, is also the metadata extraction from SAP HANA Cloud and S/4HANA ERP system. And with that, it will be possible to harvest metadata, for example, from CDS views using batch jobs, for example. So yes, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. This was a short update about the Datasphere functionalities for this year. And I will hand over to my colleague, Cathrin Böhmler, for the SAP Analytics Cloud update.
Thank you, Anil. And yeah, with that, let's have a look at some of the new features from the past 2 quarters for SAP Analytics Cloud. So the first feature I want to highlight is the possibility to replace models in optimized stories or composites. With this feature, it brings users a lot of flexibility and also efficiency to the process when stories or composites need to be updated, when the data source needs to be changed. So previously, when you needed to change the model underlying on a story or a table, let's say, then you had to rebuild the entire element, the entire story, which was a very time-consuming process. But now with this new capability, you can seamlessly exchange the data source of your whole story, of your composites, without the need to reconstruct each and every element from scratch. However, there are a few considerations to keep in mind when you want to exchange the model. So the new model you want to use needs to have the same data source type and also structure as the original model. That means if you're using, for example, a classic account model and you want to switch to a new model type, then you have to make sure that the new model also includes an account dimension. Similarly, if you're using, for example, a public data set, then the new model needs to then you need to make sure that the new model does not include an account dimension on the other hand. So yeah, you need to make sure that the new models match in order to make the replacement work. Furthermore, the mapping is a very important step in the process of exchanging the model. So you can see in the screenshot where you can map the elements from the new model to the original model. And this mapping step ensures that all data points and all the dimensions you have are accurately transferred, so your story or your composite afterwards looks the way you really want it to look. But we're going to have a look at that in the system later on, so I will directly move on to the next features I want to show you, which are all also in regards to story design and presentation. So the first feature I want to highlight is the so-called enhanced filter dialog. So this new filter dialog is available for story filters, page filters, and also local chart filters, but currently not supported for tables. So this new dialog has a quite different look and feel compared to the old one, and it provides a more user-friendly and also intuitive interface. And they added let's say a panel on the side where you can make your adjustments, everything which was previously on top of the dialog in this small window, let's say. And there you can directly see all of the adjustments you can make. And also a focused search bar has been placed on top of the dialog, as you can also see in the screenshot, where you can directly search for the elements you need, which makes the the handling way faster and also easier. Then the second feature I want to highlight is the sorting of the version dimension in tables. So for those of you who already have used these functionalities might know that previously this version dimension was a fixed dimension. So you haven't been able to change something in the sorting of the version dimension, and it was, let's say, fixed. And now with this new feature, you can change the sorting of your versions and have a more customized view of your table. Then the third feature in this area is the creation of ranks with a grouping of elements which are not covered by top or bottom n ranking. So with this, you can create more customized ranks, let's say, and group everything which does not fall into these top or bottom n rankings into a custom group. So you can make, for example, a ranking with the top 3 products, and everything which falls out of these top 3, you can group into other products, for example. So you have a different view on your groupings. And the fourth and last feature in this group I want to highlight is the so-called Unified Story Presentation mode. This mode incorporates the key digital boardroom features into the unified or into the optimized story experience. So you can, for example, import story pages, like if you're using a story for planning and a different story for reporting, then you can do an import from your, let's say, reporting into your planning just for the presentation purposes and have everything in one place for your presentation. The next thing you can do with this is you can configure the whole presentation structure and mode you want to use for your presentation, which gives you full control over how your presentation is looking like and how your data is displayed. But also this, we're going to have a look in a few seconds. So having said that, I directly want to switch into my live demo and show you some of these features in practice. So I'll share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what I've prepared is a little story to show you first the replacement of the models. So let me quickly open that panel here. So what I have here my different charts and table, and I have here these 3 elements with the blue title. If I go into this, you can see that this has a data source which is called tests, and the ones with the dark title have a different data source. So what I want to do now is I want to have all of these test data sources replaced by my, let's say, main data source, so that the whole story is based on the same data source. So what I do now is I go to the tools here on top. Then you can see here my test data source, and I can click on replace. Yeah, I will get a warning message, but that's fine. Just for information. Then I can select the model I want to have as a replacement. And what I get now is this mapping dialog. So all that I see here are the new objects I can map and the original objects I'm currently using in my story. And on the left side, I see all of the elements I can use from my main data source in order to map it to my original one. So for example, you can see that some elements have been automatically mapped because they have the same name. But for the remaining ones, I can simply drag and drop. So for example, let me take this account to map against this one. Then I can add here my hierarchy. Of course, I could also directly click into here and select a different element I want to map for the measure. Then go down. Then, for example, in some cases, you will see here, say, supported replacement objects or sometimes also unsupported replacement objects. So for example, in this case, I have here an entity dimension which has geo-properties, and in this case, I can only select a dimension to map against this one, which also has a geo-property. So that's the only one which is supported. So I select this one, add the hierarchy. And for the profit center, then I have several dimensions I could use which are supported, but in this case, I will select profit center for profit center. Then if you're finished with your mapping, you can click on review, and if there are any issues, you would see them here in the summary. So in this case, I only have 2 low impact issues because the numeric precision of my measures is different, but that's fine for me. That doesn't make a big difference. But for example, if you have some high impact issues in here, you should take a look at them and see what would change if you really do the replacement then. But in this case, that's fine for me. So I can click on Replace Model. And now it's loading shortly. Okay, so let me quickly open the builder to show you the different model now. So if you had a look at the numbers before, the numbers have changed, but also to show you the data source is now a different one. So before it was my test data source, now it is also my webinar data source, and all of my 3 elements have been changed to this main data source I want to use. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Then the second thing I wanted to show you is the presentation mode we now have. So in order to configure the presentation mode, you open the left side panel, go to the outline, and then you have here this presentation area. So if I click on that, you can see I already configured something. So I have here the list of all of my story pages I have. In this case, my story contains 3 pages. And what I can do now here is I can configure a different structure I want to use in my presentation. So in this case, I can configure a topic. For example, if I want to have a reporting topic, then I add all of my reporting pages underneath, or I have something else. I can also add subtopics, and then I can have a look at that in the presentation mode. And the other thing is I also have a specific, let's say, toolbar I'm using for my presentation mode, and also this can be configured. So for this, I go to the tools and to the toolbar. And here I can select the present mode, and you can configure how your menu bar in the presentation mode should look like. In this case, I can leave it as it is just to show you, and quickly open the present mode with this small computer icon, let's say, just to show you how that looks like in practice. Okay, and what you might notice on first hand now is you have this little toolbar on the side. Of course, you can also configure it to not show on in the first place, but in this case, I want to use it. So I have here my navigation, everything I configured in my presentation as a navigation structure, and I can use that now. And as I said, here I have my my menu bar, which I configured. I can also hide it and put it wherever I want. So that's quite a handy tool. But with that, I would like to go back to my presentation, as we're running out of time, and give you also a short outlook on what's coming for SAP Analytics Cloud in the upcoming quarters. So there are some quite a few new features planned for the next quarters, but one I really want to highlight is the so-called seamless planning integration with SAP Datasphere. So with this feature, it's planned to have closer integration between Datasphere and SAP Analytics Cloud in regards to planning purposes. So that's a feature planned to come in Q3, so that's definitely something I'm looking forward to, and we'll probably discuss during the next webinar. But there are also some interesting features coming for, let's say, data actions like attribute-based mapping for cross-model copy operations. Or in Q4, we have dynamic planning area support, which is also something which is quite interesting. But with that, I directly want to go to our Q&A session. So if you have any questions right now, you can write them into our chat. I will already have a look if there are some questions right now. Let me see. Okay, there are a few questions. So the first question is, are there any challenges in your practice with the implementation of BW Bridge in customer projects? I think that's for you, Anil.
Yes, challenges for example, when you have file interfaces or sources that are connected via HANA or SCA, they cannot be imported perfectly into the BW Bridge, and there are also some restrictions in BW Bridge at the moment, so that, for example, queries cannot be full transferred as info providers for other data targets, for example, or if you have HANA native developments or mixed modeling scenarios, like the use of HANA calculation views in the BW system. It cannot be easily transferred to the BW Bridge using common conversion tools. And yes, but with new functionalities and also some workarounds, we will overcome these challenges, of course.
Okay, thank you. Then the next question is also for you, I think. Is there a SAP Datasphere connection possible to Google BigQuery or cloud storage?
Yes, so the connection, you can connect several third-party systems like Google BigQuery, Cloud Storage, or Azure Data Lake. This is possible. And the connection properties are also integrated with the SAP Open Connectors in Datasphere.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next question, when I have a unified story with several pages or panels, will the replacement be done on all of them? That's for the replacement of the models. Yes. So, for example, if you're using a story which has different pages or also different panels, like, for example, you have one panel and all the other ones are hidden on the first hand, and you want to replace the data source for all of these elements you're using, for all pages, for all panels, even if they are not shown on in the view mode on first hand, then they're still going to replace all of them if you replacing the model. So yeah, that's definitely working. So let me check. There's another one coming. Hello, thank you for the presentation. Do you know when we will be able to merge models in optimized mode? I'm not quite sure when the feature will come. If it's currently not on the roadmap, I would have to check if it's already on the SAP Analytics Cloud roadmap. But I will have a look at that in the end and come back to you, and then write you the answer. Let me see if there are any further questions.
Per mail, we can write the answer.
Okay. Right now, there are no further questions in the chat, so let me quickly move on to the next slide. So if there are currently no further questions you have, I hope we have been able to answer all of your questions. But if there are further questions and anything you want to clarify afterwards, please feel free to contact us via email or also via LinkedIn, and we will get back to you after the webinar. What I want to highlight before we end the webinar are some of the upcoming events we have in the future. So the first one is our live analytics summer apero, which takes place at the Urban Surf in Zurich on the 13th of June. So in addition to exciting keynotes on Google and SAP, you will also have the opportunity to network and surf while enjoying some good food and drinks on site. So if you're interested, please feel free to register. And one of our colleagues will also post the links to the registration, to the events into the chat. So please feel free to have a look at that. And the second event we're planning is the next webinar on SAP Datasphere and SAP Analytics Cloud Feature Update, which takes place only in November. But yeah, we're also happy to see you again at this webinar. So yeah, if there are no further questions right now, I would like to thank you all for your attention. We hope you have enjoyed the webinar and learned a lot about the new features. And yeah, with that, hope to see you again next time and wishing you a good rest of the day and goodbye.